Hi all, Greg Williamson here. Just a quick video that I thought might bring some meaning to you, some value to you, was that how many of your beliefs are actually really based on something concrete, that are really true and really serve you? How many things that you take as gospel truth are really actually true? I was watching a video with Grant Cardone, an interview with him recently, and he made a point I'd heard before but I'd not actually thought about it. And he was asked about how he manages his time, and he says he doesn't manage time, he just creates more of it. And the interviewer was trying to get kind of an understanding of what he meant by that, and he was saying, well, to be fair, how do you know what's actually true? Because time's just made up. How do you know there's actually 24 hours in a day? And there's 365 days in a year? Because it was just made up by somebody 9,000 years ago. And everybody socially agrees that's what it is. So when he had a newborn daughter, he used to get up an hour earlier than he did and spend an hour with her in the mornings. However, he'd just make time, he'd just do things now. If there's something that he felt really passionate about, needed doing, he'd do it now. And when any of his teams complain they've got too much workload on, they can't do anymore, he gives them another project. And if they say again, then he'll give them another project until they're too busy to complain that they haven't got enough time because they're using their time on the project. But it's just a funny thing. I mean, I've had experiences of people that do things completely differently to the way I do them. And I've been led to believe doing them that way would not benefit anyone. For example, even just like hygiene when cooking with raw chicken. Now, I'm just dumping a bag in the boot of my car. Yeah, I knew somebody who had grown up in an Eastern European country who was cooking a meal and was handling raw chicken. And I was brought up with obviously making sure raw chicken doesn't go on anything for risk of salmonella and other things, and making sure that you've got clean hands all the time and you touch it and clean utensils, and maybe being a little OCD. Probably not actually, no, I mean fairly. For the beliefs I had, it wasn't OCD. Sorry about the bad camera footage. I apologise about the shaky camera. But yeah, so I believed if I handled things the way they did, I'd probably end up really ill. However, the funny thing is that they'd always done things like that. So to give you an example, they were putting raw chicken on a chopping block and all over the sides and touching things everywhere where their hands had raw chicken on, which they weren't even bothered about. And I was like, well, hang on, aren't you going to kind of clean that off there? Because you're about to put something on there that's not going to be cooked. Aren't you going to want to do something differently than what you're doing? Don't you want to wash your hands between touching the raw chicken and the rest of the food? And I'm like, wow, what's the matter? And they genuinely didn't know. And I was just like, damn, you're never going to cook for me again. But then it dawned on me, do you know what? They grew up in a small village, and that's how they learned to do it. And that's how it's been done for generations. And they're still alive, and they're still fine. And that's how they cooked for their children. And I was like, you don't get sick all the time, because basically you're just putting raw chicken on everything you touch. And you're really barely washing your hands before, during or after cooking the meal. And they were just like, no, we're fine. Which kind of, even now it still gets me a bit. I'm just like, well, hang on, I've been brought up that bacteria, E. coli, all this stuff, and I was like, quick, get the Dettol out and spray the antibacterial products. And they were like, well, how do you know that actually does anything? Because you can't see it. Now, of course, there is a whole world of people that will tell you there's bacteria, and bacteria breeds and spreads and stuff. And I've had my fair share of going into hospitals to visit people and going through all that, and knowing people who've gone into a hospital to see somebody and then come out and not been very well afterwards. And so what's the point I'm trying to make? Well, that person had always behaved that way. Now, I'd always been taught I need to be clean. Like if you were in a professional kitchen or anywhere else, you'd have high hygiene standards. But she had worked in restaurants all over the world and still had those standards. So maybe what you don't know can't hurt you. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. But that was her way of doing things. And she was alive and she wasn't sick. And her kids weren't really, really sick. And her family wasn't really, really sick. So what do we actually believe that could be different? See, I never knew at one point in my life about the law of attraction. I didn't know how the universe responds to us individually and helps us create our own reality by delivering manifestations to us of that which we desire, or that which we don't desire but focus on over a long period of time with negative energy. Now, don't worry, negative energy is a lot less powerful than positive energy. However, we can still attract experiences and events that are based in whatever we're focused on. There was a point before that I didn't know that. I just thought, you have a bad day, and I didn't know what my emotions meant. Any of that stuff. And if, when I was living through some of the tougher times in my life, someone just turned around and said, you created this all yourself, probably would have been the last thing I wanted to hear or believe. But I did create everything I experienced in my life, and I can admit that, good and bad. Or clarifying, whatever you want to call it. Well, at the time I would have said it was nasty, it was bad, it was a nightmare, it was horrible. At times. Although I've had wonderful, amazing experiences as well, and I am so blessed and grateful for those. And I love some of the most amazing experiences I've had, and I know there's so many more great ones to come. So it just stuck with me, that thought from Grant, that, you know what, just because we're told it, and maybe we're told it by very well-meaning people, and maybe several other people agree on that, doesn't make it a truth that serves us. So if you listen to Abraham Hicks, then they say there's any number of truths in the world, positive and negative, but which ones do you want to focus on? Which ones serve you? And which ones are actually going to make a difference in your life? Because the ones you focus on are going to become your truths. The ones you focus on are going to be brought about to you. But yet, have you ever heard two people giving a witness statement to an event? Have you ever heard people recounting stories of what happened? Everybody remembers it slightly differently because they've got their own point of view. So who's telling the truth? Well, they all are from their own point of view. If they've got no reason to lie about it, then they're telling their truth, and it may be a different truth to somebody else's. But does it make it any less true? No. So what you need to do is focus on the truths that serve you and benefit you, and forget about the rest. Because without attention, things just fizzle out. Things just kind of go away, go on a back burner, disappear. Eventually all momentum stops on them, and they're gone. So yes, if you don't want an experience in your life, you should stop giving it energy. You should stop focusing on it. You should stop worrying about it, thinking about it, and all the rest of it. Now, there's certain times you may want to mitigate something. If something's being pushed on you by other people, you may want to kind of deal with that a little bit to nip it in the bud, or cover against that eventuality to give you peace of mind. But then just forget about it and move on. But it's funny, because when you do think about this time concept, just creating more time, well, you can really. I mean, bedtimes, we kind of just made them up ourselves. What time we want to go to bed, what time we want to get up. But we can do things differently. We can get up earlier or later. We can get up in the middle of the night, do something and go back to bed. We can get sleep through a day if you want to. You can do whatever you want to do. You can create time to be at special events. How many other beliefs do you have that don't serve you? That constrain you, that keep you tied into a box? That your mum or dad or family members or yourself or strangers or something you read in a book once told you was the truth, and so you started living by, only to realise it's actually restraining you from living your life. And just by going, do you know what, actually I'm going to give that one up, you'd find you're immensely free. It's food for thought, isn't it? How many things have you stopped yourself getting because of some belief that got in your way? Just realise a belief is just a thought you keep thinking, and one that you hold on to as a truth. What if you're wrong? Or what if you're right, but that truth has a completely opposite angle, which is also true, and that one would serve you better? And think about it. Anyway, it's Craig Williamson, sending you lots of love and signing off. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again soon.